Hi friends, Don Wilson here to show a little bit about styluses, specifically how to play a Pathé. They're definitely the red-headed stepchild of the different formats that we try to play electrically, and sometimes it's rather challenging. So I've done a little research, and I would like to show you what I've found. There's going to be quite a bit of technical details in here, and then finally some results in a few minutes on one of my new Mark turntables. So what we're looking at now is a 2.7 mil typical Stanton 7 or Stanton compatible 78 stylus that are readily available, and this is a Ortofon 0.9 or 1 mil, I don't recall, but this is a pretty typical LP stylus. We can see here that the shafts are approximately the same, and then I'm assuming that in this very tip is where the diamond is fitted, and you can see that the difference in the tip is pretty significant, that roughly 3 times the size, as it should be. Also the 78 one, we get a little better resolution. It appears to be maybe not truncated. I don't believe this is a truncated stylus, but it's certainly a little rounded over, whereas the LP one, that's quite a bit pointier. So the Pathé, on the other hand, it has a significantly larger groove size. Typically, I believe 6 mil is recommended, but if this guy here is 2.7, what does the Pathé ball look like in comparison? So this isn't for an electric machine, this is the actual 100-year-old Pathé sapphire stylus, and if we put this in frame, dun dun dun, that thing's gigantic. Look at that. And it's not even a matter of being in frame. You can see that it's actually below the 78 stylus, but it absolutely dwarfs it. These things are small enough that they like to roll. So let's try that again. Okay. So you can see, I think by this point, you get the point that this ball is just absolutely enormous. But I kept reading that 6 mil is what they play at, or the stylus that most people recommend. Well, these styluses, they're custom made, they're probably handmade, and they're really expensive. So what does one do? Well, after a lot of research, I couldn't find anything readily available that was 6 mil. I did, however, find that, so there's this 0.2 millimeter Uniball pen, the Uniball Micro, that it has a 0.2 millimeter, did that say tungsten? Yes, it did. Precision tungsten ball. So that ends up being 8 mil. So I took one of those balls, and I had an Ortofon stylus that had some damage to it. So I cleaned it up, and I replaced it with the ball out of one of those pens. And if you're going to try to do this yourself, I recommend you buy the pack of pens, because if you buy one, well, you're going to be surprised how difficult it is to get that little ball out. I don't know how many are now skating around in my carpet, never to be seen again. But if we get these, I think that they're just about touching. And if we zoom in, we can see that this ball, despite it being 8 mil, 8 thousandths or 0.2 millimeter, I think it's 0.0078 for those that are going to be persnickety about it. that ball is still quite a bit smaller than the original Pathé. I don't know. I'm going to guess that ball is 10 or 12 thousandths, something like that. But at the end of the day, how does it actually sound? So now that you've seen all of this under high magnification, I'm going to turn the microscope off and go over to the turntable. The turntable does not have a microphone input. I have a direct connection to the phone, so I have some post-it notes, and I'll be showing you which stylus that I'm going to use at that time. I would like to add the one note that throughout this process, I tried several different cartridges, that is, and several different styluses, and one thing remained constant, and it really baffled me at first that using any of the Stanton 500 series carts produced really poor results when trying to play a Pathé disc. The two carts that I used were the Stanton 505 and a new old stock Stanton 500, and both ended with the same results, that using both the LP and the 78 stylus, that it was really low volume and very poor fidelity. One could barely hear the music over the surface noise. It didn't matter if I used a mixer that was set to mono or if I rewired the cartridge for mono. That's something that is typically effective with diamond discs, but it didn't seem to make much sense when using the Stanton carts. And my only thought for that is that the Stanton cart, I'm speculating here, that internally that it might be limited against vertical compliance. That these are obviously made for lateral compliance, and it may have some mechanism in it that limits the vertical compliance. That would be advantageous for playing LPs, which is, you know, what these things are probably designed around. But obviously for playing anything vertical cut, that would have effects on fidelity. When I tried that again with both the stock Audio Technica cartridge that comes with the LP 120, and also when I tried these nice Ortophon carts, I did not have that problem using the LP cartridge in both the Audio Technica and the Ortophon carts. With the LP stylus, even, they produced sufficient results that if one was going to play a Pathé occasionally, I think that would be a great way to go. Again, this is all with a mixer set to mono, but for whatever reason, the Stanton carts don't seem to produce acceptable fidelity. So I'm not going to use the Stanton. Well, maybe I'll throw that in just so you can see what I mean. But again, the mixer doesn't have a microphone, so I'm just going to use some post-it notes to show you which cartridge and which stylus we're using for each example.
Please play for me that sweet melody called doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I like the rest, but what I like best is doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. People to sing, there's nothing much to it. Don't have to sing, just doodle-doo-doo it. I love it so, wherever I go, I doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. melody called doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I like the rest, but what I like best is doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. People to sing, there's nothing much to it. Don't have to sing, just doodle-doo-doo it. I love it so, wherever I go, I doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Please play for me that sweet melody called doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I like the rest, but what I like best is doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. People to sing, there's nothing much to it. Don't have to sing, just doodle-doo-doo it. I love it so, wherever I go, I doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Please play for me that sweet melody called doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I like the rest, but what I like best is doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. People to sing, there's nothing much to it. Don't have to sing, just doodle-doo-doo it. I love it so, wherever I go, I doodle-doo-doo.